Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. It is still National Infertility Awareness Week and I have been making videos all week just to spread awareness about infertility, IVF and everything that comes along with it. Today I just wanted to talk a little bit about what can cause infertility. You know, you hear a lot about I'm having this treatment done or whatever, but there's not too much chat about why or how we got there. So I put a question box out on my Instagram and all the amazing people going through infertility on my Instagram have replied and let me know what their infertility diagnosis was, if there was one. So I think I'll go off that to start with and talk a little bit about unexplained infertility. There's so many people out there. I wonder if there's a stat, one sec. So 1 in 4 people going through infertility will have unexplained infertility. There will be no test or reason or anything why. You know, everything will have come back normal, but they will have really struggle or won't be able to get pregnant naturally. I have got a diagnosis, so I can't say how it would feel to be diagnosed with, well, to have unexplained infertility. I don't know whether there's a diagnosis, but I would say it's the worst one because there's no answer, and everybody that has unexplained infertility are completely in the dark. You don't know how to get around it, you don't know what's going to fix it, there's no reason, and that's the most frustrating thing I can imagine for people with unexplained infertility. Yeah, I think that's really, really crappy diagnosis to have. I mean, they're all crappy, but to not have an answer, to not know where you stand, to me, I think is really a hard one to deal with. So we'll go through some of the ones that have come through. There are lots of reasons why we have infertility issues, so I thought I would go through them with you and just give you a bit of an insight as to how we all get to this place, the cool club. Okay, so there's PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. I have this. I have cysts on my ovaries, I have irregular periods. It can cause issues with ovulation. It can cause you to gain weight. It can cause you to have hair where it shouldn't be as a woman. Lots and lots of different things with PCOS, but yeah, that is quite a big one in the infertility community. PCOS can affect your fertility. Another thing I have, which I've had a lot of messages about as well, is blocked tubes, so where your fallopian tubes are blocked. I did say this in my video on Tuesday where I explained about my story and how I got my diagnosis for that, so go back and watch that one if you would like to know more about that. Blocked tubes can happen for various reasons, one of the reasons being endometriosis. So endometriosis is where the lining of your womb, which is called the endometrium, grows, like basically picks up, leaves and starts growing in other places and starts sticking to things and can cause issues. And it can be quite painful. I don't have endometriosis again, so I can't really say, but I've heard it can be really painful and it can cause lots of issues. So endometriosis is one on its own, and it can cause blocked tubes as well. Another reason for blocked tubes is something called a hydrosalpinx. Fancy. That is where there's fluid blocking your tube, so nothing will pass either way. And you can also have tubal damage from having ectopic pregnancies as well. So if you've had an ectopic pregnancy and it has caused damage to the tube, sometimes they will remove the tube, so you won't be able to get pregnant from that ovary. So if you are ovulating naturally and you are alternating ovary every month, your chances have halved essentially. So there's a couple of reasons why with regards to ovaries. So they were told they had bad ovaries as a teenager, so nothing specific, but there was an issue with the ovary. Then there's low ovarian egg reserve, I think, and low AMH. That is essentially your body hasn't got any eggs left and all the quality of the eggs is bad. If you are a younger person and say you're in your 30s and you should have plenty of eggs left, and essentially you'll have the amount of eggs that somebody going through menopause will have. So it's where your egg reserve has completely diminished for your age. Somebody else has sent one in saying they had cancer and that's affected them and that has caused their infertility. Somebody else has put hypothyroidism. Somebody else has said prolonged exposure to contraception they believe is the issue for them. And then there's another one that a lot of people don't really talk about, and that is secondary infertility. So that happens to people that have already had a child, but then they will struggle on the second child. And usually it's secondary infertility, but there's probably no reason for it, so it also comes under the unexplained. Just because someone's already had a baby doesn't mean that you will necessarily have another child just as easy. Secondary infertility is a real thing and it is a big one in the infertility community. There are also male factor issues that can cause infertility within a couple as well. There's the low morphology, so that is the shape of the sperm. So normally it's got a head and a tail, but if you've got a low morphology or abnormal morphology, it's usually if it's got 2 heads, 3 heads, 2 tails, split in half, you know, just something other than your usual looking sperm. There is also azoospermia, I hope I've said that right. And that is where when you have your sperm count done, there is no sperm there within the semen. And then along with that, there is the low sperm count. So a normal sperm count ranges from between 15 million sperm to more than 200 million sperm per milliliter of semen. Anything less than 15 million sperm per millimeter or 39 million sperm per ejaculate is considered a low sperm count. So that's also an issue. So the less sperm you have, the less chance you've got of fertilizing the egg that is there, if there isn't any issues on the female side. And then there's the low motility. So that is the issue that Mark had originally, and it's probably the one that's the most correctable. So they do it on a percentage basis. Once they're analysing it, they will see how many are moving in a circle, not moving at all. They will see the ones that are moving forward, which are the ones obviously that are going to travel up the fallopian tubes to get to the egg. And if you've got a low motility, that is when you've got a certain percentage that are not moving in the correct pattern. Those are the ones that I've had received to me, and those are the main ones I can think of, and I'm really sorry if I've missed any off, or if there's any that people think, oh, I've got something else and I've not said it, and I'm really sorry. But put it in the comments below or send me a message and I will try and do another video and put it on YouTube. I had a question which I thought would come under this category, saying how long does it take to get diagnosed with infertility? And that's a really hard one to answer because it depends on how many tests you've had, how early you went to the doctors. I mean, if you go to your GP, you're supposed to have been trying for a year before you go. Some people wait longer than that. You're considered infertile if you haven't had a baby, if you're trying with regular intercourse after a year, but obviously then they start the testing process. They'll start generally with basics like internal ultrasound scan for a woman, semen analysis for a man, and then the tests are just endless from there until they either find a reason or don't. My tests, I had ultrasounds done, my HSG test done where I had my fallopian tubes tested, I had blood tests done. I think that was it. Like by the time they'd found my tubes were blocked, which was one of the earlier tests, they kind of just, right, that's your issue, let's move on. But there are going to be people that have had clear tubes, so they will need more tests. So I'm not sure how to answer that one. It just depends on how far down the testing process you get, how quickly your doctors move and how quickly your hospital move, and if you're going private or if you're on the NHS, because obviously the NHS, as we know, takes a little bit longer than if you're private. I hope this video has been informative for you. I hope you've learned a little bit about how you can get diagnosed with infertility and the issues that can cause it. And I will see you tomorrow for another video.